Hello.
All right, everybody.
All right. Welcome
We
back.
are back with the ReVitalized podcast.
ReVitalized podcast. I am Elle Oliver.
And I'm Justin.
And we are very, very excited to have another episode today, guys. Thank you so much for being here with us. And today we are going to go over talking about the immune system.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
And
different way.
specifically, three main things that you guys got to get in your diet
Yes.
if you want your immune system to be strong.
Absolutely.
So we're talking about stuff that you need. It's not an option. It's not something that you want to ignore. It's not something that you want to put on the back burner. It's something that you got to prioritize. Prioritize.
And we just want to say a really quick thank you to all of our donors for helping us make this possible. Because
Absolutely.
again, you know, we believe health is a human right and that every single human being's life matters.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, we want to prioritize showing that that's where we come from by showing up for our community.
Absolutely.
And, you know, we all work together as a community to make that happen because, you know, being healthy is truly a human right. And people
It's a human right, and every human should have it.
Absolutely.
And that's why we do the podcast. We want to provide accurate, practical, and free health education to as many people as we can. You know, and our donors, our partners, you guys definitely help us to do that a lot. We couldn't do it without you. So thank you, everybody. You guys are the best.
Thank you so much. Yeah, it's part of our Revitalize Our World project.
Absolutely.
All right. Okay. Why don't we
So to
dive
kick
into
things
it?
off, first nutrient that you guys absolutely need to, first of all, just know it even exists, because not everybody does. Second of all, need to make sure that you can get it coming from your food, coming from your nutrition. You can supplement with it, but we always look at supplements as an additive
Yes.
to a healthy lifestyle, not what we're dependent on to call our lifestyle healthy, right?
Yes.
So we're talking about vitamin E.
Vitamin E.
Vitamin E, baby.
Yes, very important. And often it can be a little bit difficult to get it into your diet. So this is why it's very important to track your nutrients and to also make sure that you are getting all the nutrients you need.
Exactly.
Now, obviously, all nutrients are important, but we're focusing in on these ones.
For sure, because these ones play a massive role in how your immune system works. They're also going to benefit other stuff as well, but specifically, we're talking about the immune system. We're getting into the fall months. The winter months are coming up soon. Everyone's kind of getting concerned or thinking about the seasonal flu or the cold or whatever. And so an immune system being strong is really, really important, right? It's one of the ways that we've gone so many years ourselves without getting sick is because we understand how our immune system works. And just as importantly, we understand what allows our immune system to keep on working.
Yes.
Right. So vitamin E is definitely a nutrient everybody wants to prioritize. But why? So a few reasons. First of all, it is really, really, really helpful for your liver specifically. And if you don't know how your liver and your immune system work, your liver is one of the main organs in the body that processes and converts toxic stuff and makes them less toxic for you. It's one of the main things that it does. I mean, the liver is an incredible organ. Like it can do somewhere between 500 to 600 different functions, depending on which doctor you talk to. But the immune system is really, really, really important because the buildup of toxins, what we call toxemia, is one of the biggest punches right to the gut you can give to your immune system. You might be eating super well. You might be sleeping regularly. You might be training often. You might be having a decent amount of just mental peace. You might be grateful. You might be a happy, optimistic person. But if your body is toxic on the inside, if you have an abundance of chemicals and heavy metals and parasites and a bunch of garbage that is just constantly eating away at your body from the inside out and creating a bunch of extra stress that shouldn't be there, creating a bunch of extra work on your body that you shouldn't have to be going through, all that stuff, then it's a huge drag on your system.
Yeah, for sure. And ladies, we need to also really pay attention to our liver health. So making sure you're getting in enough vitamin E is really important, especially if you are a woman who deals with any hormonal problems. You really want to take good care of your liver.
Exactly. So, the liver itself can cause a whole host of health problems when it starts to go bad. And supporting that, when we have a healthier liver, it also just means that our immune system, directly and indirectly, can work a lot better. It can work a lot smarter because, again, you can focus on fighting against the outside threats, not all of the inside threats. And that's, one of the big reasons why we're so big on like lifestyle detoxification. We don't really promote or talk about 6-week cleanses, 14-day cleanses, things like that. You have to get your body's natural detoxification systems working efficiently, working regularly, like every single day. Because when you have that, there's just so many things that your body doesn't have to deal with anymore, doesn't have to fight against anymore, And so you name any toxin, name any poison, name anything that you don't want in your body, and there's going to be multiple effects that thing most likely is going to cause on your immune system. So if you have a stronger liver, if you have stronger detoxification pathways and systems in the body, then your immune system can just be much stronger because it can devote all of its energy toward fighting against the outside threat, not the inside threat.
Absolutely. Your body is a machine, and in order to support it, you have to help it become more efficient.
Exactly.
And you do that with your lifestyle.
Exactly. So for example, just one quick practical analogy of what we're talking about. Have any of you ever watching ever noticed that if you get the flu or you get the cold, you get sick in some way, oftentimes you get really, really tired, you lose your appetite, and you lose your will to move and do a bunch of stuff, right? Like you just don't want to do anything, and especially eat. And the reason why is because when your immune system is going full bore, when it's just running at 100, it can take upwards of like sometimes 70, even 80% of all the total energy in your body. And your metabolism, your digestive system, when those are running full bore, they can also take upwards of like 60, 70% as well. That's why like when you eat a really, really big meal, for example, you get that food coma. And you're just like, oh my God, I got to sleep, And so you don't want to mix those two systems together at the same time. So as a way to protect you and optimize efficiency, when your immune system starts to ramp up, your metabolism starts to go down. Because then those two massive energy demands aren't happening at the same time. And you don't crash. You don't have this burn and this burnout. And your immune system has all the resources it needs to do its job. And then eventually when you eat, your digestive system has all the energy that it needs to break down that food.
Yes.
And just like that, if you constantly have this low grade inflammatory response happening all the time because your liver is backed up and you have a bunch of poison in your body, that's going to constantly be a big drain on your energy. It's going to be a big suck on how much electricity any of these systems can pull from at any given time. So if you can keep your liver stronger and healthier, your immune system won't have to be fighting all the time. It'll just be fighting when it needs to fight. And so your body will be much healthier. You'll recover a lot faster. You'll have more energy overall. And when your immune system does have to step into action, you're not already going into it fatigued with bumps and bruises and a broken leg. So that's one of the reasons why vitamin E is really, really important. It also acts as an incredibly potent antioxidant. That's one of the practical ways that it has all these effects on the body. And if you know anything about what we teach or just natural health in general, I'm sure you've heard that antioxidants are really important because they fight against free radicals. And free radicals cause oxidative damage. And oxidative damage, it's one of the main root effects of basically all sickness.
Yeah.
It's one of the main 4 things that happen anytime somebody's body starts to get sick is at some root level, there's oxidative damage. And so if we can take in something like vitamin E that can do a lot to nullify and neutralize all that free radical damage, all that oxidative stress, that's huge because then again, your body's not constantly fighting from the inside out. It's fighting what's on the outside trying to come in.
Absolutely. And the thing is like we live during the most toxic, polluted time in human history. But the more, again, we support our bodies, we support the strength of our cells, which is another thing that vitamin E does, then the more we are going to be immune to all the sorts of different things that we can come in contact with. So, supporting the actual structure and, again, the efficiency of your immune system and your detoxification pathways is something that is so, so crucial that every single human being, regardless if you have a quote problem with your immune system or not, has to prioritize.
Absolutely. So a super easy Google search, what foods are high in vitamin E, is really simple. But just while we're here, some of the ones that we like the best, for example, sunflower seeds
Love those.
pretty high in vitamin E. You can also get them from several other seeds and nuts like almonds or cashews, that sort of thing.
It's really, really great to help turn that into a nut butter too. If you're
Yeah.
not someone who wants to necessarily like munch on sunflower seeds, and that's down to personal preference, right? Adding it into granola is really great as well.
Oh,
But one of the best ways that you can make nut butter out of sunflower seeds, for example, you're going to want to do a combination, and almonds are a great, you know, a great nut to mix
Great
with.
nut to mix into your butter.
Mix into anyways, to mix in with the sunflower seeds. You want to sprout them, so you let them sit in water for about 8 hours. Then you dehydrate them very, very well on a low temperature. So around like 108 degrees is perfect. Don't go higher than that, please. And then you're going to want that to dehydrate for around even 24 hours. And then you just take a food processor and just process it. And then,
Just
you know,
process it all up.
Exactly. It'll start out looking kind of crumbly, and then more and more as you process it, it'll turn into a butter, and then that's something you could eat every single day.
Exactly.
Especially if you add some salt to it, it'll taste really good too.
It's nuts. I'm nuts for nut butter.
Ha, ha,
You know what
ha,
I'm saying? So yeah, sunflower seeds, nuts in general, that sort of thing. Asparagus is also another really good one, especially if you have a barbecue. You got some butter action going on there. Whew. Asparagus is good.
We love asparagus, especially grilled asparagus. If you guys have never tried grilled asparagus, you definitely would want to try that because it
It's
tastes
awesome.
very good.
Also, bell peppers. And
Bell peppers.
And on top of bell peppers being high in vitamin E, they are also higher in vitamin C than oranges.
Yes.
So eat some bell peppers. Beet greens are also a really great one. So if you can get the leaf from the beet, not just the beet root itself, but the leaves that grow out of it, they're also very high in vitamin C. And just in general, cruciferous leafy vegetables, kale, spinach, collard greens, that sort of stuff. Those
are great for like everything practically.
Yeah, you
like
can mix
you
them
look
into
up a
whatever you
different
want.
nutrient, and usually it's like, oh, they're great for this and this and
Exactly.
this, and it just goes on and on.
Exactly.
They're just very good.
Oh,
If
yeah.
you're able, and you know that, oh gosh, if you're able to digest them well, that goes down into like a whole other subject, of course. But
For sure. Side note, everybody should be able to.
yes,
There shouldn't be hardly anybody that has to go on something like keto or carnivore out of necessity. That's a side note. We can talk about that in a different episode. But anyway, mango and my personal favorite, avocado, and my personal favorite, mango.
he loves mango.
I love mango, and mango is high in vitamin E. It's also high in vitamin C too. So if you need another excuse to eat some mangoes, now you got two of them.
What's that meal that we make, honey? For some reason, I'm forgetting it. It's with the salmon, with the
Ceviche.
carrots, ceviche with mango. You guys, it
Oh my
tastes so
God.
good, and it's actually very simple to make.
It's delicious.
Yeah,
I'm telling you,
it's very,
it's
very
absolutely fantastic. It's the greatest thing ever. It's phenomenal. You make some fish, you make some mango,
Yeah,
you
and
put them
there's,
together,
like,
put a little bit of
tomatoes
spice
and
on top of that, baby. Oh
cucumber
my God, it's
and,
fantastic.
Like like avocado, like it really just goes really, really well together. It's just a burst of flavor in every single bite. So if you've-
And most importantly, a burst of mango.
yeah, that's what matters most, of course, in this. All right, let's move on.
All right. Next one is going to be dietary probiotics.
Yes.
Probiotics are all the rage these days. They're all the buzz. Everyone's jumping on the probiotic train. I almost said strain. That's funny. But everyone's jumping on the probiotics because they're getting real popular in the holistic, natural, even standard like allopathic medicinal routes are starting to take on more stuff with probiotics. And there's a good reason for that because probiotics are absolutely amazing. We need good beneficial bacteria in our body in order for anything to work right. The problem is that most probiotic supplements are more of a marketing company than they are a supplement or nutraceutical manufacturing company.
Yes.
And that becomes an issue because they
Yes.
jump on the bandwagon of health without fully understanding what their product even is. And they market it really well, but they don't formulate it very well. They don't process it very well. They don't deliver the product that their marketing claims that they do because most of the people that own these supplement companies are not starting it because they have a background in nutraceutical formulation. They have a background in personal training. They have a background in bodybuilding. They have a background in maybe some nutrition.
And so like the white label things, they'll sell, the supplements on Amazon, and there's a lot of a lack of quality control.
Exactly.
So especially if a supplement, especially something that is more on the higher price end, such as probiotics, if it's running for cheap, if you go to their website and there's just ads and ads and ads, probably just not the best idea.
Yeah.
So, that's why one of the best ways to start, especially, because no one wants to waste their money. And on top of that too, there's a process to taking probiotics. You want to prepare your body for different things, especially something as powerful as probiotics, because probiotics can do a lot of good in your body, but you're not going to get the most bang for your buck or for your time or for your health if you don't prepare your body for them. Exactly. Right? There's a strategy to everything, especially with your health.
Absolutely. And because probiotics they're different from other supplements in the sense that it's not just a piece of organic or inorganic material like a vitamin or a mineral or an enzyme. Probiotics are living organisms. Max, stop. Probiotics are living organisms, which means that they have to survive and maintain themselves and multiply inside your body. So if you don't have the right environment for probiotics to live well, if your pH is off, if you're malnourished, then these probiotics that are supposed to be living and actively working inside of you as long as they're alive don't live nearly as long, don't culture nearly as well, don't multiply nearly as well, never get as strong as they could. And so you might be buying a great probiotic. You might be spending $120 a bottle, $500 a bottle, whatever. But if your body can't sustain those well, then you're still not getting the benefit that you could be for the money you're spending. And on the flip side, if you're just buying I'll just say it, crappy probiotic, it's not going to work no matter what.
Absolutely.
So to fix that, when we're talking to the general public, when we're talking to people that don't necessarily have some supervision, some expert help, things like that, we like to talk a lot about dietary probiotics, because that is the better place for most people to start if they're not already an expert in this field. And if they are, they don't need to listen to a podcast like this. They can just go do their own thing, right?
Exactly.
And so dietary probiotics is a much safer option. Can it work as fast or as potently as a really good probiotic supplement? No. Do we take probiotic supplements, some of the best on the planet? Yes. Do we still eat dietary probiotics and make sure they're a big part of our diet? Absolutely.
Exactly. I was going to say that, even like regardless of even though, even if you do find the
regardless
best
of even,
even if you do find the best supplements and you have a good protocol for them and everything like this, you would still want to take dietary probiotics.
Totally.
By that, we mean probiotic-rich foods.
Exactly.
So, some of an example of that, of course, would be, grass-fed yogurt.
Yep. Just grass-fed raw dairy, unpasteurized dairy in general.
Absolutely. We're huge fans of that. And then also things that are, of course, fermented properly, right? So they're fermented, without vinegar. And they're fermented like in salt and stuff and water. And so we like to make our own sauerkraut, actually. We're big
Well, she says we because she's generous. It's basically all her.
Yeah, but that's okay.
She's the incredible fermenter.
Honestly, you guys, people don't. If you haven't made sauerkraut before, then you don't know. But once you make it once, then you're like, oh my goodness, this is so easy. It honestly is. It's literally just cutting up a vegetable and adding it into a glass jar with salt and water, basically, and then letting it sit on your counter for about 3 days. And then you can just store it in the fridge, so it's safe. You're not risking anything, right? It's actually honestly very, very simple. And I think that sometimes people can feel intimidated when it comes to making their own fermented foods. But the amount of money you will save and the amount of
You can buy a ginormous cabbage for $4. You can buy a week's worth of supply of sauerkraut for $15. You could make what out of a big cabbage? How many batches of sauerkraut you think you can make?
Well, it depends like how much you do a serving. Usually people do a tablespoon. And so if you have about one cabbage, you probably have relatively like one container full that you would usually get from the store. And so that can be maybe around 20 plus like big spoonfuls. It depends how big your spoonfuls
Yeah.
are, right? So
Yeah. Yeah.
so something like this, and obviously, you know, the cabbage and everything like this. But either way, you can basically one cabbage essentially will make you like one jar's
A
worth
big
of
batch of sauerkraut.
Yeah, yeah.
Exactly.
So it's yeah, it's
So-
definitely worth trying.
So fermented vegetables, fermented fruits. I
Mhm.
mean, you can even pickle certain foods if you like ferment pickles or ferment typical pickled vegetables. They're still called pickles, even though they're not pickled. They're fermented, but they taste great. So there's different stuff like that. And the fermentation process builds a bunch of bacteria in the food.
Mm-hmm.
Even some raw cheeses can be really rich in probiotics and beneficial bacteria.
So good.
Exactly, that sort of thing. But the point is that if you can implement probiotic-rich foods in your diet and pair that with just generally solid nutrition, you're getting enough protein, you're getting enough vitamins, minerals, fiber, you're keeping your sugar in check, you're eating healthy fats, all these things, it can do so much to help build up the strength of your body and even aid in digestion, because a lot of food gets primarily it's the process starts with stomach acid, then most of it happens with enzymes. But if you're deficient in enzymes, or if you're eating certain foods that are maybe a bit more resistant to certain kinds of enzymes, your bacteria, the probiotics in your gut, take up a lot of that work, and they can really help to make stuff digest faster. And if when food digests faster, it doesn't sit in your stomach or your intestines nearly as long, you don't get bloated nearly as often, you don't have that drain and the fatigue after eating nearly as much, it doesn't go up and affect your brain nearly as often. I mean, you know, we mentioned keto and carnivore before, and a big reason why people are typically switching to those, you know, very, very, very low carb diets is often not because of how much carbs they're eating. I mean, that can be a big, big problem, but it's also a big part of it is how fast those carbs can get digested and utilized by the body. And they become a much bigger issue on the mental clarity and the brain fog when they digest much slower and they spend longer in your bloodstream. They spend longer going through your system, and more probiotics in your gut can really help to deal with that. So, you know, not everybody necessarily has to go ultra low carb just to maintain good focus in their work environment or with their kids or whatever. Sometimes it could just be you need more probiotics, you need more beneficial bacteria in your body. And so again, you know, a quick Google search, it can tell you a lot of those different things, but, you know, fermented vegetables, fermented fruits, grass-fed dairy. And if you start there just with the simple, easy stuff, you're going to get much better at adding on the more advanced things later. And once you get a good base with your nutrition,
Foundation.
then you're just going to benefit that much more from whatever probiotic supplement you do take, given that it's a good one to start off with, because if it sucks, then it sucks no matter what. But you know, there's been several cases where we don't start people on any probiotics at all until we get their nutrition in a better spot.
Yes.
Because we know that maybe they're working on a budget, maybe they're, you know, starting in a very, very bad condition with their health, and we need to build them up better so they get more value, more benefit, more health results from the probiotics that they could be taking.
Absolutely. We are very focused on sustainability and getting real results. And a lot of
And
times
just being practical, not just trying to do everything perfect on paper.
Exactly. But, you know, a lot of times people, when they talk about health, they talk about a person taking or recommend another person to take like 20 different supplements.
Yeah.
We don't work like that.
No.
We,
One of our clients last week, she went in for a blood test with this physician, and it was a natural health guy, and she came out with 9 different supplement recommendations. 2 of them were useful for her specific state of health right now.
yeah.
And that's just not like we said it earlier, but your lifestyle, your healthy lifestyle should not be healthy because of how many supplements you take.
Yeah, they're not a crutch.
Exactly.
They're meant to support
Supplementation,
you.
it should just be one part of your healthy lifestyle. It's not what makes your lifestyle healthy.
It's like how makeup is actually supposed to slightly enhance your appearance. It's not supposed to be your
You're not supposed to
appearance.
become a completely different person. That's wild.
I mean, unless you're doing something for fun, then go at it, right? Like all is well. But
Yeah, but it's not fun for everybody else.
But the point being though, is when it comes to your health, you know, what works, and you can't just, you know, try to control your way to better health, because that's just not sustainable and that's not going to build lasting results. You need to build the habits and, like essentially the discipline and, your body understanding and having this new information based on thinking better, based on, being outside more, being in the sun more, drinking more water. Like, your body needs a good, healthy lifestyle. Because what happens if they run out of that supplement? You cannot use supplements as a crutch.
Exactly.
You have to be supported on all fronts. That's why the holistic approach is the best approach.
Absolutely, it is. Okay. And
last one?
Last but not least, we wanted to talk about zinc. So we talked
like
about
zinc.
a vitamin, we talked about a big nutrient category, and now we're going to talk about a mineral. So we're coming full circle here. And zinc is really important because a lot of the food sources people typically get zinc from, because of the poor state of their digestive system, they don't really digest those foods very well.
Yeah.
So some of the big sources are going to be red meat. You can also get it from poultry as well, and eggs. And
we love eggs.
We love eggs, and also
eggs are a great place to start, especially poaching them.
Yep.
If you have some slight issues with perhaps digesting meat, go ahead and start with eggs. Typically, eggs are a lot easier in terms of a protein source to digest.
Exactly. And, you can also get it from plant sources like seeds and legumes and beans and things like that, nuts as well.
But that's a whole other story, because you have to, again, if we're talking about the gut issue, then
you got to soak and sprout everything, and you got to prep for it.
And then you have to build your way up to make sure
we recommend you guys do that anyway.
Yeah.
Because they're good, healthy foods, but you have to learn how to eat them properly. And that kind of goes into this main point that we wanted to talk about, especially with the animal proteins. So the beef and the lamb and the chicken. If most people, when they're eating those foods, they typically overcook the crap out of them. Just going to be honest. They cook them too much. They denature the enzymes. They denature the proteins.
They cook the good out of them.
Exactly. There you go.
And then they're left with the crap.
They cook the good out of them. And so they don't digest the food very well because it's been so heavily denatured due to the extreme heat. And then that over time, that leads to issues with their blood cells forming and being structured properly. It leads to digestive issues, leads to deficiencies in enzymes and probiotics and things like that. And so then they just creates this cascading effect where the more good food they eat, if it's not being digested well, it just doesn't do anything to fix the problem. It actually makes it worse.
Yeah.
And then with stuff like eggs, for example, we've had people that they don't digest eggs very well at all. And just us teaching them a different way to cook them, where you're not coagulating all the fat in the yolk and hardening up the yolk too much, and you're keeping it runny.
Such as poaching.
Exactly. It makes it much easier to digest. Doesn't necessarily increase the bioavailability of it. You don't necessarily absorb more or less nutrients, but it requires much less work from your body, and it happens a lot faster. And then we don't notice nearly as many digestive issues around that stuff when you use less heat, when you use enzymes, when you pair it with vegetables, when you pair it with something like sauerkraut, you pair it with something like this to help kind of slowly break down the protein instead of just a big, huge hit to your system at once.
Yeah, paying attention to energy is very, very important for your health. And remember that your immune system, it needs a lot of energy in order to work efficiently.
For sure. So we've had a lot of people that they'll eat red meat, they'll eat poultry, they'll eat lots of foods that are high in zinc, but because their body doesn't digest them well due to their digestive inefficiency or their poor cooking practices or different things like this, then they still become deficient in zinc. And that's a really big deal, because zinc is also super important in just how your blood cells, your red blood cells and your white blood cells form. Specifically for the immune system, it's the T cells and the killer cells.
Yeah.
And if you don't have enough zinc, then it indirectly and directly really puts a big hit on your immune system, because you can't create enough of these cells that you need and actually to mount a proper defense, to keep pathogens in check, viruses in check, things like that. And so it just becomes a real big problem. And then if you don't have a big enough hit on your immune system, if you can't put a big enough hit with your immune system because you're deficient in zinc or vitamin E or probiotics or iodine or whatever else, then that leads to other cascading effects where you get sick more frequently, and that leads to poorer dietary habits, and that leads to more, snacking and more comfort foods and all these kinds of things. And it just kind of leads to this longer cycle that people have a hard time breaking out of.
Yeah.
Zinc's also really important in the healing process, like healing your
Yes.
skin, repairing the
Yep.
mucosal lining.
Coagulating your blood.
Exactly. Making sure that the intestinal lining and the respiratory lining, so the lining in your intestines and in your lungs, are really strong. Zinc's super important for that. And if you have open wounds like cuts on your arm, if you have abrasions, if you have issues with your sinuses, things like that, it's a lot easier for pathogens, viruses, things to get into your body, because that's one of the main ways that they get inside is through like an open cut or just a mucosal lining, like your nose or your mouth or whatever.
Yeah.
And so because they're just an open gateway to bacteria and viruses and things that are going to hurt you, having something in your diet like zinc that can help you heal and recover and make those defenses stronger is really, really, really important.
Absolutely.
And even though, like I said earlier, people eat a lot of zinc-rich foods, we see that it's a pretty big deficiency, just like B12 deficiency, just like iron deficiencies. Lots of people have iron and B12 deficiencies, and they still eat lots of red meat.
Yeah.
There are lots of people that can't eat red meat, and that's a big part of why. But zinc is kind of in that same camp with B12 and iron.
Yeah. And one other thing to keep in mind is when you are looking for a zinc supplement, look for a zinc supplement that also has copper with it.
Yeah.
And
Because
again,
you almost always find those together in nature.
yeah, that we have to look how nature packaged things, right? Like, for example, you don't really see protein all by itself. You see protein with fat, right? Like you think of meat, you think of eggs, you think of like higher protein foods, right? And, paying attention to how nature made it gives us a very clear picture of the way it was meant to be consumed.
Mm-hmm.
So the same thing follows with any other nutrient. It's very, very important to keep that in mind, and not for us as human beings to just assume that we're more intelligent than nature or our bodies, because it was set up very, very well for us. Nature was set up very, very well for us. And if we don't follow the important, rules of the jungle, so to speak, then, we're going to miss out. We're going to miss out on having better health. Who doesn't want to have better health?
Exactly. And if nothing else, it's just what we can look and see all of our ancestors before we had the technology to change anything. All of our ancestors had lived and survived and flourished on these foods. This is what our bodies have adapted to. It's what our digestive systems have adapted to. Our blood has adapted to. It's what our enzymes are made to break down. And so, aligning with nature it's just the normal original thing. It's not like a weird hippy dippy wokey smoky type of anything.
Exactly.
It's like it was the only option for almost all of human history.
Our bodies are part of nature.
Exactly.
They are part of nature. So we have to, we have to work with nature.
Exactly.
Do you think you're going to feel better indoors or outdoors?
100%.
You're going to feel better spending more of your time outdoors. There's a reason why.
Mm-hmm. And the way that we see it, if red meat and potatoes and fish and eggs and mangoes and apples and kale and spinach were good enough to allow our entire species to survive over all these years of being on this chaotic planet, it's good enough for me.
Yeah, good enough for me too, honestly.
Good enough for our family.
I don't need cinnamon apple flavored bacon.
If our ancestors could survive off of food for thousands and thousands and thousands of years before we had refrigerators and Wi-Fi and TikTok, and it was enough for them to get strong to wrestle a freaking bison, to almost hunt mammoths to extinction, to conquer the lands of the world, to build an entire society and species, then how much better can it get? Like, it's been good enough. It's the oldest saying in the book: if it ain't broke, don't freaking fix it.
Absolutely. And we are at such an advantage in our modern world. Because yes, like I said earlier, we are living during the most toxic polluted time in human history. However, we are living during one of the most opportune times in human history as well.
Everywhere.
Just abundance everywhere.
Everywhere.
How easy is it to access free information? How easy is it to order, things that you don't have to scavenge for, right? You can order in cacao, you can order in meat, you can order in different supplements and superfoods and different things that are really, really important for your body.
Exactly.
So, we live during such an incredible time. We are so blessed to live at such a time as this. And on top of that too, we as a society actually know about hygiene, and we actually have ways to preserve our foods.
Yeah.
Very, very
well. That's pretty cool.
Think
about
blessing.
This is a total side note from the immune system, but we can shower every day in hot water. We don't have to hike to some waterfall or a frozen river just to get clean once a week, like a lot of people throughout history have had to do. Like, we have hot running water.
We don't
Holy
have to remain
smokes.
stinky. It's a blessing.
It's incredible.
It's a blessing.
So we use the blessings that we have in this modern age, and we pair that with principles that have stood the test of all time.
Yes.
We're doing something pretty good.
Absolutely.
And we're off to a pretty good race. And if you do these things we talked about tonight, if you get in more vitamin E, if you get in more dietary probiotics, if you get in more zinc, if you just modify your nutrition a little bit to give your immune system just a small leg up, as opposed to constantly getting taken out of the knees, you will feel a big difference in your health. You will feel a big difference in your future, in your hopefulness, in your energy. And it's going to help you guys a lot. So if you don't know where to start, if you didn't know what you needed to be doing to get your immune system ready for the holiday season, for the winter season, if you needed to know what kind of foods you need to be prioritizing for your children, your pets, your in-laws, whatever, now you have 3 really, really, really powerful and really important nutrients that are super easy to get. You don't have to go to the supplement store. You don't have to order any food box from a third world tropical country. You can get it right in your own back door. Vitamin E, dietary probiotics, zinc, and you're going to be doing a lot better than you were yesterday.
Absolutely. Amen to that, babe. All
yes,
right.
ma'am.
Well, thank you guys so much for tuning in, and we will see you next week.
This has been the ReVitalized Podcast. The ReVitalized Podcast.
All right. Bye, guys.
See everybody.
Thank you.